site of our model home here in Goochland, Virginia. Framing has gotten started. We're going to go back here and take a look at a few of the details. The first member we put down when we start our framing is called the sill plate. It's a pressure-treated piece of lumber that's bolted to the foundation wall. It serves a couple of purposes. The first is it actually ties the wood structure of the house to the foundation wall. You can see the bolts along here that are spaced out evenly according to our local building code. The second thing it does is it creates a nice flat surface for us to frame off of and to set our floor joists on. If you have any kind of uneven or unlevel areas of our foundation wall, we can actually shim underneath the plate to make sure that the surface that we start on is as close to perfectly level as possible. We're down here in the crawl space of the house to talk about the next component of the floor system. These right here are called girders. They are the main horizontal structural component of the house. They carry not only the first floor structure, but they carry a lot of the way to the second floor as well as the roof. I like to use a product called LVLs. That stands for laminated veneer lumber. It's an engineered product that's pretty stable, much more stable than regular lumber. Try to prevent as much expansion and contraction as possible, because as you can see, it's one of the main supporting structures of the house, so we don't want these moving around. That's also why we put these piers in place to support that girder. I also like to put a piece of vinyl wherever the LVLs are touching the piers. It's just a little bit of added protection, just in case we get some moisture wicking up through these columns. It acts as a capillary break. Next, we're going to go up on the floor and talk about the last few components of the floor system. You can see we're up on top of the floor system now, and it's fully in place. And there are three main components that make up the floor system. The first is called an I-joist, and by looking at the end of it, you can tell why they call it an I-joist. But it's an engineered product. It's made up of a 2x top flange and bottom flange, and then the webbing in between is an OSB material. The second product is called a rim joist, which is just a solid piece of OSB. It's about an inch thick. And the third piece is the LVL, which we talked about as girders underneath in the crawl space. We use a professional designer to do the actual layout of the floor system in conjunction with our engineer as well. And they specify the components that are going in the floor as well as the placement of those components. The main component is the I-joist, and you can see those throughout the floor here. Typically they're spaced pretty evenly. There are the occasional areas where we have two I-joists together or three I-joists together. Those are areas that have a little more weight on top of them, like a bearing wall. If there's too much weight on top, we typically have to move to a LVL product. So you'll see the orange material in here. These beams are for bigger point loads, bearing walls that have more weight on them. So you'll see several of those throughout the floor as well. The third component, the rim joist, is just kind of a bearing on the outside of the foundation wall here. Kind of caps off the end, and it is actually a structural component as well. One other thing I wanted to point out in the flooring system, you can see a hole here. This will be the master bathroom shower. This is how we frame this thing out so that we can sink the floor and we'll have a curbless shower. We've got a little bit more structure to put down in here, but that's how we create the sunken shower in our master bathrooms. I'm Matt with Arthur Ruttenberg Homes. Thanks for joining us today. Please continue to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube.